As long as I give up being right, I'm happy.
Thanks. See you
I
guys.
love it. Thanks, you guys. All right, Myrna, I'm so glad to see you here, my friend.
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna
always
invite you.
wonderful. Yes, I really enjoyed just listening to what we were just talking about judgment and sin. And if, of course, it evokes thought. And if we could continue along those lines, why not? Why don't we just go with it? And anybody who wants to jump in, really feel free to do that. So it's wonderful having everybody here and to discuss exactly what they're feeling, the feelings of everybody that who raised their hand and spoke was so interesting because we're really all in the same boat. We're all guilty of judgment. We're all guilty of beating ourselves up, thinking that we're sinful. And seeing the sin in ourselves is very hard not to see God as being judgment, or the Holy Spirit is not judging us. It's very difficult to see that. And again, the what we were just reading from was evoking that feeling that we're afraid. We're afraid of God because we're really afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of our own thoughts. And we can't help feeling that God is going to judge us. I mean, because we don't separate the two. We don't separate the thought of God, that we think God thinks the way we do rather than we thinking the way God does. And that's really the whole lesson that we're really here to learn, the purpose that we're here to learn, to love the way God loves, to think the way God thinks. um, it's funny you talk about. I say I don't meditate. I never meditate. I don't meditate. Well, I just started meditating this morning. Okay, I think the last time I meditated might have been 10 years ago. When I was into it, and then I stopped. And but I do speak to Jesus a lot, an awful lot. I mean, and if I'm in trouble, I'll call on Jesus. If I'm triggered, I'll call on Jesus. If I'm hurt, I'll call on Jesus. And I got a message just yesterday. How come you only call on me when you need me? Don't you want to hang out with me? Don't you want to hang out with me a little bit? And that was all I really needed to hear. It really. And I had started this morning, and I want to stay with it because I did connect, thinking and speaking and, trying to really get that connection through the silence, through the quiet, through the stillness. And I really, that's the message that was given me, really. And think about it. Why do we look for God when we're in trouble? When we're happy, do we really pray to God? Unless we really should have a grateful heart. I mean, it's really, I think it's the utmost importance to really feel grateful when things are going well. But do we really think to thank God for all the good things? Um, I like to think that I do, but maybe I'm sort of more aware of the fact that I need God when I'm in trouble. And so that was really an interesting message. How do you feel about that, Lynn?
Unmute myself. I pretty much feel the same way. And I'm always, talking about it and thinking about it because whatever I see that appears to be outside of myself is a reflection of my own thinking, no matter what it is. It's my thinking, I'm the one who has all the opinions about the desk or the chair or the Zoom or the lamp, or I'm the only one who's really got my opinions about any of those things. So I'm really the only one who's seeing them the way I'm seeing them. And so I can change my mind about how I see. And, I look at the world and, look at politics, look at religion. There's the even the Catholic Church that I, grew up, loving so dearly and still have a great affection for, is, there's a rift going on over there now. Well, it has been for a while, ever since the 60s when they did the Pope John Paul the 23rd did the encyclicals that changed things and took it from of all the things that people would be so upset about, changed from saying the Mass in Latin to saying the Mass in English, because people understood English and nobody speaks Latin. So, he made it so that everybody, it's all in English now, or whatever language, whatever country. And there are people that are so mad about that they're like willing to try to destroy the church because they feel like he broke tradition. Well, Jesus didn't speak Latin either. I mean, he dealt with Romans, maybe he did, I don't know. But that the whole idea that we're tearing each other apart over some silly thing like that, and that's where you look everywhere and see that. So when I see that, I have to ask myself, why am I seeing all this division? Why am I seeing all this upset, in this thing that I love? Um, and I realize it's because that division is in myself. I want to see these bad guys. Not only do I want to see these bad guys, I want to see these bad guys get in trouble. I want to see the Pope uh excommunicate him, which he just did. This guy who was like a big time bishop who had a lot of following and like really some weird right wing thoughts, the Pope like kicked him out. And like I was so happy. I'm like, oh yay, that God doesn't like this guy either. And I just have to laugh at how silly I am to think that, that that God has any opinion whatsoever about who's the bishop in the Catholic Church. but, but, but and I just have to laugh. I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because
I agree with
it
you.
get
I
me
agree
so
with you.
silly. It's like, oh my gosh.
It
Uh,
is really right. I mean, isn't that all ego? Isn't we talk about religion? You're talking about the church, dispensing with Latin and turning it into English. Doesn't that make sense? It's no different from with Judaism in the temple. When I was a kid, my mother would drag me to temple, and it was all in Hebrew. Did I want to go? No, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go with her. I didn't understand it. And now that I have a choice, now there are reform temples where everything is in English, and that it is more, it's cultivating that way because you can understand it and you can really kind of come to draw your own conclusions. And when you're listening to a speaker who is, evoking an interest in you and inspiring you, it's so different. I mean, isn't that what it should be? And the religion has such crazy rules and regulations. And, to me, religion should be just, is God religious? No, God is not religious, yet we go to pray to God. And if you want to call it religion, fine, but I don't look at it that way anymore. Um, and so, yeah, I think we are getting away from tradition and dogma, and we're really getting into the understanding that we want to learn, we want to reveal, the truth, and that comes to us. Um, I'm not a religious person, but my tradition, I have a Jewish tradition. So I found a temple where I like the rabbi who is very inspiring. And I only go during the high holy days. But when I do go, because of that connection that I feel, and it's not, again, it's all about God. It's all about our relationship with each other, to love each other, to be released from sin. We're not, and that's what happens during the Jewish high holy days, where all our sins are forgiven. And we are really to be recognized that the coming year will hold those important things that we've learned, that we've come away with, and to keep up with it, and and that's really what inspires me more than anything. And yeah, I think it is really so important to feel the love that we're given to feel. And the ego does come away from that, and the ego does put fear into our, into our thinking, into our thoughts. And but fear is not of God, because fear is not. I mean, fear is maintained on this earth, this earthly plane. Think about it. You come into this world, if you're a child born into a family that is loving and caring and supportive, you'll be less fearful. If you come into a dysfunctional family, and then you get fear is then becomes a thing that you learn early on. So it's really not of fear is not of heaven or of God. It's strictly on this earth. And when we see that, that we have to get away from. We don't have to get away from anything. I don't know why. I don't even mean it that way. I mean, to understand, the only way you can get away from the untruth is when you discover the truth. And then once you're there, there's no going back. You just, you're on a road, you're on a path. So.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, as you were speaking, and I was looking at, we're talking about the temple, going to temple, and the church, and I was thinking, all of these traditions, you were mentioning the high holy days, and all of these traditions have kind of one common theme, and that is the forgiveness of sins. Like the Day of Atonement, or in the Catholic Church you go to communion, confession, to get your sins or you in other Christian churches you get washed in the blood of the Lamb, or take some baptism. In like the Muslims just now recently have had Hajj, which is their holiday where they can travel to Mecca and be absolved of all their sins. And once they make uh, that whatever trek, they become absolved of all their sins. And just here, like this last couple of days, hundreds of people died on that trek on Hajj because the temperatures were so high, and they didn't have they're walking in the desert to go to Mecca, and not having the right supplies and whatever, and hundreds, I think like over 500 people, a family here from the United States, their parents, their mom and dad, went there and died on this trek. But I mean, the whole thing being the absolution of sin. We want to get rid of our sin. And that's what we were just talking about, is the whole idea of sin is is a mistake to even think that we could be sinful, and but we're going to believe we can be sinful if we believe other people can be sinful. And the minute I stop believing that my brother is sinful and start seeing him as sinless, then I can find myself sinless as well.
Yeah, that's that's when I discovered the love. When I came to lesson 93 years ago, that became my favorite lesson. I talk about that lesson because it tells us right here that it's all a mistake. It's not a sin. Anything you've done is a mistake. We think of ourselves as, you think you are the home of evil, darkness, and sin. That's what we think we are. And those words originally grabbed me, and I, at a time when I really needed it. I would say this was about maybe 1990 is when I started the Course in Miracles, and it was early on that I was revealed, that was revealed to me. And I remember thinking, what a release that was, and what a relief, because we're given to feel sin. We're given to feel guilty about everything. Guilt is something we also acquire in our growing up years. Things happen, and it's so easy to make a child feel guilty. I mean, I was made to feel guilty very, very early on. I'll tell you something. I mean, I never even said this to anybody, but my father died when I was very young. I was 3 years old, and my mother was, in a very bad state. And, in a way, I had an uncle who abused me, literally abused me. And I was made to feel guilty because I wouldn't apologize to him for the abuse. And, it's all because of you. And you don't really care about me. Now they're not going to talk to me if you don't talk to your uncle. And I want you to apologize for whatever you had with him. And and he banged my head against the wall. That's what he kept doing. And I was dizzy, from the banging, and to get away from him. And I went home screaming, crying hysterically, and nobody would cared. It was the guilt that was now placed on my shoulders, that I had to now go back and apologize to this abusive person. I had a lot of dealings with the guilt that, that I was responsible for my mother's loneliness. She was lonely. Now this was her sister's husband, and now she would lose that relationship. My uncle would come around on Sundays and take her for a drive, and she would say, I work all week and my only day is Sunday, and they take me for a drive, and it's because of you, and because of you. And I grew up really needing some sort of semblance of order in my life. I'm so glad I found it. I'm so glad I've been able to forgive it. I have forgiven it. I have let go of it. But isn't it, maybe we're given to feel guilt. We're made to feel guilty. We come here, to derive at the fact that we need to let go of, and we need to forgive. I really believe that my true purpose here on this earth is to learn forgiveness, and I have learned it. I've learned it. I've learned it well. I don't have any, recognizing that. That I, whatever it is, perhaps I was responsible to some degree in this whole scenario, but not to feel guilty about myself, recognizing that it's a learning experience. And I don't think I even ever told anybody this. And here it, coming out here, because it came to mind, what is guilt? Where did I develop the guilt? Well, it started very early on, and growing up feeling guilty about everything and everyone and so forth, until I came out of that, and now I can feel completely absolved. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Wow, that's beautiful, Myrna. Thank you so much for sharing that. First off, I wanted to say, Marcy, little Marcy that comes into our evening meetings, she sent me a message yesterday, day before yesterday, with the whole thing about lesson 93, and she wants to talk about it tonight. So
Really?
at our evening meeting, I said, sure, I'd love that. So and she is such a doll. But the same kind of thing, that you're talking about your uncle who, abused you and, bashed your head against the wall. That honestly, my mother would have killed him if he did a thing like that. But that's because my mother had this idea of um, you know, that we were her precious property, not to be messed around by other people. But you know, I- the same thing, when I think about it, because, then she married my stepfather, and my stepfather abused me. And he didn't bash my head, but he, definitely did things to me that shouldn't be done. And, the idea I lived with guilt my whole life because of it. And, I mean, think about this, because um, when you're a child and you are, as I was, sexually abused, you think it's your fault because you're treated as if it's your fault. You're told, oh, it's because you're so pretty, or you're so this, or you're so that. And then of course don't tell mom because she'll get mad. And it puts you in a really um crazy situation. And I know when I was even going to confession, which is required for little children. You're going to go get communion, so you go have to take confession. And if you take confession and you don't tell the truth, then you're going to go to hell. Well, guess what? I was never going to tell a priest that this was happening to me or this had happened to me because it was, my guilty person that made it happen. So I went through this whole lifetime of, childhood of feeling like I had to hide myself and be afraid and kowtow to, other people and not expected to have any kind of uh personal reaction to anything because then if I acted out in any way at all, then my mother would beat the crap out of me. And and he also, he's every day of my life from the time they first got together, he would spank me every day. He would just sit there. I'd have to go, and of course I know why now, but at the time he said it was because you're going to do something bad and you're just going to get punished for it now instead of waiting for us to find out what it was. So I just went through my whole life feeling like I was just a piece of shit. And, I was a terrible person and I couldn't even talk to God about it because, what he would think about me. But I still had a relationship with Jesus. And that's the thing that's so odd is I always had this relationship with Jesus that that he was my friend and that he was always there with me no matter what seemed to be happening. And so uh, it seems conflicting, but really it's not because that was what kept me from uh, becoming a crazy person. Well, I did become a crazy person for a while
Makes
during
two
my
of us.
teenage
That makes
years.
two of us. Okay. So I get that. I really do. So my question is, have you been able to forgive it? Was it
Oh,
hard to forgive it? Yes.
you know what? I was actually absolutely was
Mhm.
able to forgive it because after I learned from A Course in Miracles that, whatever it is, it's either love or a call for love. And as horrible as it seems, when you look at it as an adult person looking at these things happening, it was either love or a call for love. And I realized it was both from him because he didn't know how to express love in a proper way. He was expressing love in the only way he knew, which was, not good, not a good way to do it. And for me, because um, I was I was a little child, I needed someone who loved me. And so because he was nice to me and he gave me things and he gave me money and he would buy me things and he just obviously
Mhm.
hush money and all, but it didn't matter
Yeah.
because I felt loved. So, I didn't, how you would think that you'd be like
Mhm.
uh so angry and so willing or wanting to destroy somebody who did a thing like that. I just saw that he was a victim of something he couldn't control, and
Exactly.
I didn't have to be that.
Right.
That didn't have to be me. And so, when I recognized that it was just love in
Mhm.
one form or another, I was like, how can I hold this against him?
Mhm.
And my mother, how could I hold it against my mother? She had no idea. And she was doing what she thought needed to be done for the family, for love. It just, you really, you look at a lot of things when you're healing to something like that. So, and I see Karen has her hand. Please go ahead, Karen.
Well, thank you both for those beautiful shares, and I loved hearing them both. And what came to my mind when you both were sharing, and especially what you just shared, Lynn, is I think what's also helpful for me, I don't think as a child I would have thought this, of course, but now with the tools that we have in the course, what we were just talking about is, looking beyond appearances, number one, looking beyond appearances, and number two, that there's no hierarchy of illusions. So whether my head was being banged into the wall, or whether I was being sexually abused, or whether I was being spanked, right? Can I see them all as the same? That's the question. Can I see them all as the same? Can I see them all? No. On my own? No, I can't see them all the same. The only way I can see them on all the same is if I ask Holy Spirit or Jesus or whoever you choose to talk to. And I love what you shared, Vernon. I don't need to just talk to him when I need something. I can talk to him anytime. But it's interesting, and I was just sharing this, and my father's passed away. My father was a really bad alcoholic, and we witnessed a lot of abuse, a lot. And you brought this to my mind, Martin, when you were sharing, because my dad was literally banging my mom's head into the porch, literally. Like I had to call the neighbor to come over because I didn't know what to do, and I was little. And he called the police. But my brother David, I was talking to him, he didn't even know, and like he was just shocked. And he said, I because he never was afraid of my dad. And I said, you never feared dad? He said, no. I said, well, you didn't see half the stuff that I saw. That's why. So it's what we're exposed to. He never had the fear, but I did. He was smaller than me. He didn't see any of that stuff. So there's the difference. What we see, like you said, Marna, what we grow up with, you know, if we don't heal that stuff, we bring it into our relationships and then they repeat, you know, and I went into abusive relationships. Every relationship I was in was abusive. Everyone was either an alcoholic or a drug addict. And I was their savior. I thought I could fix them and save them, you know? So it really is, a lot to heal and a lot to forgive until you recognize that it never happened. And that's the real miracle. Like when you see that none of it ever even happened, when you get to that point, that's the above all else. Like I can't even believe because that's what happened with my husband's suicide. I got to that point eventually. So there's no hierarchy of illusions. There's no order of difficulty. Miracles are all the same. And I can transfer that training into every single problem and see that they're all the same. And that is the beauty of A Course in Miracles. So thank you for sharing, you guys.
Yes. Yeah, the Course in Miracles does jolt you back into reality, doesn't it? I mean, when I first picked up the Course in Miracles, I turned away from it because I thought it was about religion. You know, that's what I saw. I saw Jesus, and you know, I wasn't interested in any of that. I don't know what made me get back into it. But once I started getting into the text, it just pulled me in. I felt that I was meant for this. I really, you know, and that was a path I was meant to walk along because what made me ask for it? I believe I asked for it. Oh, yes. I remember reading Shirley MacLaine's book. Okay, I forgot the name of it, but she said in her book that this is all a dream. I think it's all a dream. That's the first time I had ever heard of that. And I remember thinking, yes, yeah, I know it. You know, I somehow that resonated with me that it's all a dream. I don't know where I came up with the belief system in that it's all a dream. It can't be real. It's a dream. And then the Course in Miracles was literally dropped into my lap. And when I started to realize that the Course in Miracles is saying that as well, that it's really giving credence to my belief, is when that's what pulled me into the Course completely, because it was perfect. It was as if I was asking for it, recognizing, well, you know, is it crazy? You know, is it all a dream? I mean, she's the only one, Shirley MacLaine, in her book, first ignited that, you know, the fact that I was now able to now reveal that was my belief as well. So the Course in Miracles was really a savior, I think, for so many of us, because I think when we ask for something, a path, we're given the path. The Course in Miracles is not the only path. There are others as well. Okay, but and I think it's really what you ask for, because every path really takes us to the same place. I hear people speak about their beliefs in spirituality. It's all the same thing. It all comes back to the truth. The truth of it talks about forgiveness. It talks about you know, guilt, forgiveness, fear, and when we can relate to each other, it's really basically pretty much all the same. We're here to learn. We're here to learn. That's what it's all about. And if we can start, and I think my path really was to understand that I needed to forgive, and that's what I think was given. I was given reasons that I had to get past in order to forgive. And the Course in Miracles made me see that. You know, here I am. Yes, that's the utmost importance, and I feel I've achieved that. I feel very happy about the path that I've traveled, that I've come to this point in my learning, that I can really feel the truth of the understanding that you know, without forgiveness, how can you discover love? Where is love? If you're feeling, you know, if you're really completely immersed in hatred, in anger, you know, how can you feel love? Well, the first step is really forgiveness. And once you can do that, then it leaves room for everything else, right, Lynn?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. It's, you know, the first step is, you know, am I willing to see this differently? And you know, let me and show me, you know,
Mhm.
ask the Holy Spirit to show you the different way.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you, Myrna. Did you want to go for an hour or half an hour?
It's up to you completely. I'm with you, whatever you want to do.
No, it's
I'm
yeah.
fine. I'm fine.
It's up to you as well. So we can keep. Did Sharon, did you want to say something? I saw you popped in with your camera a minute.
Come on,
Oh,
let's hear
no, I
from-
just wanted to say that it's, I love the saying that the Course in Miracles is a rescue mission. That's coming from
Oh, I
Keith.
love that.
I do too, because it really did rescue me. I was in hell, total hell.
Who said that, Sharon?
Keith Kavanaugh.
Oh, okay.
The one yesterday, again, like a lot of people, just because I like him, I don't want anybody to think they should like him. I find that he just nips it right in the bud for me. But the bottom line is he's just reiterating what Ken taught him. Ken was always about, you don't have to hear the Holy Spirit. You don't have to hear any of that. He would just say, because you're not there, right? You're not there. And I couldn't get it, and I got it completely. And, you know, that's why I love him, because I have all of Ken's stuff, and Ken is a little louder. It's just a different, vibration, but they're saying the same thing. And one of the things that I love about Keith is he never takes credit. He says, "Oh no, it's Kenneth Wapnick." That was my teacher. And I think that's beautiful. He is yesterday, what he was saying to people was basically that he messes up still. I mean, he forgets, because we have the ego's program runs until it doesn't. And, that I feel like that was also helpful, because when you fall down the rabbit hole, no big deal. You're still not that. I've put a lot of attention on the character, a lot over the years. I wanted a better holy character. Now there's no character to have. So isn't it interesting? So it does save us, in my 40s, Myrna, and then I started the 12 steps when I was like 49, and that did a big change, but I needed, and then I did that for a couple of years, and the Course came in my life when I was 53. And between being in the room here, I was in Pal Talk, and also going to meetings, it was healing me. But it's taken 20 years. It takes, and I'm not healed. I still have ego, but I'm healing to a place where I totally 100% know there's no me, and this is nothing but a dream.
I see you, Sharon, as 100% healed. I see you that way, 100%.
Well, you see yourself that way, right?
I see.
Yeah, but I mean, I did struggle with this, because I was always, the ego's talking to the ego. Are you hearing the Holy Spirit or not? Are you
Yeah.
hearing? And I'd be like, well, I'm not like Regina.
Oh, geez.
I mean, you know how that was, Lynn. Like, it was
I
like we
know
were
it.
idolizing her because we wanted to be like, and that is necessary to laugh at yourself that you went that, because the ego does that. It's not, spirit is like, it's all perfect because you're not even there.
You know,
But
it's real interesting. I never idolized Regina. That's the crazy thing. I just never thought that what she did was anything special. And so
no, but you had the same, what's the word? Probably the same guidance at the time. Maybe listen, I didn't come from your
yeah,
background or hers.
to
I was
join
not
up with her for
religious. So
sure.
when she had like this come through her, I was like, Oh, she knows, she knows. And I felt that way about you, but I felt like I didn't know because honestly, when I got to Altoona, I said, I just want to know who God is because it's ridiculous. Everybody has a different version. Just give me God and that's it. I don't need a guy. And I had absolutely no money. And I did sometimes complain about it, but that thinned out too, because I realized who am I going to live? Wherever I live, I'm by myself anyway.
I had an amazing experience yesterday. I don't know if you've heard about the infinite immersive experience. Have you heard about that?
No.
Oh my God, the Kravis Center in Florida and the immersive experience is now going to Houston. It's going to go to North Carolina, Houston, and it's going to Shanghai. I mean, it's really, really amazing. It's an amazing experience. You really, this is AI,
Right.
artificial.
And that's what the ego is. The ego is AI.
Well, the experiences you put on these goggles, okay, and you literally see yourself walking in space. You see yourself. I mean, it's just so incredible. And you're weightless. You're walking in space. You look down. You don't. There's no body. You don't see yourself. You don't see a body. And anybody else that you see as an avatar. So you don't bump into the other avatars. It is so incredible. It was such an awesome experience. You go into the space station and you see the astronauts,
Wow.
you see them floating and you see them talking to you, and and you're there. This is what you don't just, you're not a viewer, you're a participant. And it was really an awesome experience, really. And I remember thinking, wow, this has to be an NDE, like a near-death experience, where you don't really see bodies. You see, this is how I would think that, that aliens would look when you're seeing everybody as an avatar. It just I can't even explain it. It was so incredible. Almost like, okay, the robot in Star Wars, that's what you really kind of saw everybody as, except they were sort of like translucent as well, So, you're not bumping into other people, but you're really seeing the various different things it's like as if you're in space, as if you're really in the space station.
Do you walk? Are you moving around or
Yes, it's
sitting
a
down?
walking experience. It's truly a walking experience. First of all, they say if you see an orb, okay, now you see an orb. Now touch the orb. Once you touch the orb, a new scene opens up. It opens up. You're in this place and you're in that place, and you're looking around you. You're seeing the Earth from the space station. You're seeing it's how can there's no better I can't even
Oh,
describe
wonderful.
it. The awesome, yeah, the wonder of it. That's really the word I'm looking for. The wonder of it all was just super. Yeah.
So just a question about that. If you wear glasses, do you have to take your glasses off to do the thing, put the thing on, or how do
It's like a helmet almost. It's a helmet. You tighten it in the back, you make sure it's nice and tight. And once it's activated, you're in it. You're in it and you're walking, yes. And you're walking because everybody that's walking has a lighted path. They say just follow the lighted path. So you're not going to bump into anybody else. You're following the light, and then you're going, you're following the path. But then your body has disappeared. You don't see your own body at all. You're just following it. You're walking, and then you see an orb and you touch it, and then it opens up into something else. And a different scene, a different part, a different aspect of it.
Is this in Florida, Myrna?
It's in Florida, yeah. I'm gonna find out where else it's
other
going.
places? Because I was just looking when you said it.
The
So
infinite immersive
it's like a
experience.
traveling show kind of thing or something, I think.
Mhm.
And so because I see there's one in Seattle. There's
Mhm.
probably going to be one in Philly or Pittsburgh or someplace, or somewhere near you. But I just wonder because I think that VR, those helmets don't work for me because I'm blind in my right eye.
Well, this is what they say. You can wear your glasses. You can wear your glasses in this helmet. It's fine. So people who wear glasses, it doesn't, you would do fine with it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because in
Mhm.
order to see, like, if I went to a 3D movie, I
Mhm,
couldn't see the 3D movie
mhm.
because I only have one eye. So what I see is
Okay, I'm gonna Google that right now
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah, because I would
Okay.
love to do that, but
Yeah,
I just think it'd be like going through to a 3D movie is a real waste for me.
okay, yeah. I
It's
wonder,
just a
okay.
blur on the
Well,
screen.
Okay, let's see what I come up with. Keep talking for a while and I'll let you
Okay.
know.
Lynn, did you lose your eye in that accident? Is that what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah, that's what I got a detached retina, and they could never repair the retina. I had like 4 different surgeries on it before the doctor just
my.
said, I can't do anything else here. And by that time I had developed glaucoma in the eye anyway. And it basically destroyed my optic nerve in my right side. So I could not recover any part of it. So,
Yeah,
but
because you never really spoke about it. Like in the room when it happened, everybody was upset. But I remembered like you just pretty much dealt with it like with grace, I thought. I would have
yeah,
talked about it to everybody because I had that. I'm Jewish. And you know what Jewish is, Myrna, right? We're kvetches.
yeah.
It,
Yeah,
it says here you can do it, but it is it's not as effective as if you have
as if
both.
you had 2 eyes.
Yes, as it would be in a 3D movie. That's what it says here. Well,
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so it may or may not be interesting. You know how I found that out though? That first off was, do you know those little Viewmaster things that kids get? That you put a little cylinder in there and you flip it and you see the picture, like 3D picture in it. And we were shopping for Christmas presents and I was like, oh, let's get these for the kids. And I picked one up and I looked in it and it was like, there's something wrong with this one. This one doesn't work. And then I realized after that, I figured out, oh, because I don't have this eye anymore. So there's no, there's nothing there.
Did your other eye strengthen? Like, does it have a, because you read all the time.
Yeah, no, my other eye is actually not good either. It is, because I've always had kind of bad eyes. So yeah, I have, because I had cataracts and, so my other eye, I probably need to go and get my cataract the lens
Yeah.
cleaned off from the cataract. But yeah, I've always been, my whole life I've been going blind and it hasn't happened yet. So,
Well, the
someday.
cataract surgery, I had it. It was one, I mean, for me, it worked beautifully. It's really it helped my eyesight, like I would say 100%.
Yeah, cataract surgery is awesome.
So maybe,
Sharon, did you want to say something? You're
Oh, I don't
muted.
know. No, I just didn't know who the iPhone got.
No,
Who-
Sharon was,
No, me, Sherry. You guys, I just have to say, I really have enjoyed this meeting. And Myrna, thank you for how
I didn't
weird
know
I'm
that
here
was
for
you,
you to.
Cher, because you're wearing a hat, Oh.
Yeah. Well, I know I won't, I'll get off because this is distraction. I've got a few more minutes to exercise, but the meeting has been so wonderful. And, I just love all of you in
Oh,
this room.
wonderful. Yeah.
And when Karen was talking about, the alcoholism, we all went through our stuff because my dad too was alcoholic. And we used to have to take my mother to the hospital, because he would beat her, So I understand. It was just y'all are touching me. And I know that was so long ago, but I didn't realize, and I'm starting to, how it does stay with you, and I listened to Gaber Mate and he talks about a lot of people that have all the, and I know y'all work through a lot of stuff, but the trauma and the addiction for me. So I don't know, it just touched me with y'all talking about it, today. And I feel like I'm with Sharon. I'm 100% hold, Myrna. I just
Right.
want to be 100. I'm tired of this story. I'm tired of all this. And I too joined the course like in 87, I guess, and in and out. And I just want to get it. I just
I
want to
didn't know if I
know.
ever saw you without glasses. That's why I didn't recognize you.
Oh, sure. I wear my contacts. Yeah, that stuff.
thank you.
I love
Yeah.
y'all, but it was so good. And there was one other thing. Oh, Myrna, when you said our purpose is to forgive. I mean, I really love that too, because I always wonder, like, what is my real purpose? just to learn and forgive, just, and
What's
I
your
can do
name?
that.
What's your name, by the way?
I'm Cher. Cher.
Cher. Okay, it's
Cher
great meeting you.
Murphy.
I don't know if I've seen you before. It's
Well,
name's
nice.
I've
Cher
been in the room,
Miracle.
I'm in the room, but I wear my wigs and everything.
Uh-huh,
So
yeah.
I've seen you, Myrna, but I just want y'all to know I'm gonna get off now. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
y'all.
yeah,
So-
Cher. I know you. I know
Hey, we
you.
love you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I used to be in rooms with you, but I was with because I,
S-H-A-R-E, I know you. Yes.
and I can't get my phone fixed. David and I have tried. I don't know if it's because I'm not hooked to the internet, but we can't do it. I've tried to put my name and so anyway, I just want y'all to know I so much want to heal. And the older I get and the body, I've had all these body pain. I just want to heal. I mean, and I think the reason
You
why I
are, though.
didn't
You
heal,
are. Yeah.
I didn't heal because I would run back to the addiction. And now the pain in my body is really saying, I don't want that pain. I really want to sit through whatever the hell this is that I want to feel. And I'm not going to be afraid of love anymore. I'm just not.
That's great.
I love y'all. Okay.
Love you too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to I'll listen.
love it.
Okay.
Thank
Oh, I
you
think
for
that's
your
sweet that
input.
you're on here like that. Because I'm thinking, where's Cher? That's her phone, but it didn't look like you because you weren't wearing a wig.
There,
You know what, Lynn, Cher had said, oh, her name's on there now, Miss Cher. Okay, her name's really Sharon, but she changed it when she started the course to Cher Miracle. That's what, right?
Cher Miracle, and
So
you
I
both
said to her, because I spoke to Cher a little while ago, and I said, doesn't this remind you of years ago, the group that you brought back, Lynn? There's a harmony here, like there was, at least for me in Gather, I always loved it. I mean, I know people fought, but I just ignored it. For the most part, I just wanted to listen and because I had no clue, like God to me was like God. Okay, like everybody has a different God. I mean, it's like, and then
The
I'm
reason
thinking,
why
oh my God, it's
Feels that
me.
way. It feels that way.
Oh my God,
That's
it's me,
Cheryl's
Cheryl.
book.
I know it's her book. I still have it. Real quick, I did change my name. It was Sharon, Sharon, but I never liked it. When I was studying the Course in Miracles and I kept seeing Cher. I wonder how many times Cher is in the Course in Miracles. And my mother growing up would call me Cher, short for Sharon, Cher. I don't know how you get nicknames.
Right.
And I thought, I'm going to change it to Cher. Legally, it's still Sharon, but I changed it to Cher. Because of the course is what I'm saying. I saw it so many times in the course. So, okay, you guys, love
I
y'all.
love that.
Great share.
And,
Good to see
Myrna-
Lynn, I sent you a message because I wanted to tell you, but I think I love Marcy. She's going to share tonight. And the other one I wanted to share was, I rest in God, because this one that Keith did, I thought you'd play it, but it's an hour and I don't think that's, necessarily helpful. But if you just played just a little bit, anybody that just wanted to, unless you guys want to just listen, but he just does it in a way like he says, it's like, it's so complete that you're like, oh my God, I've never been here. And I'm not even Sharon. And none of this matters.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I mean, for me to not talk about politics, it's almost foreign because I just came from Philly and my son is an activist and what that's like, right? And I listen, and I'm not, it just goes like this, whatever. It's already over. None of it matters.
It's
And the
already
way
over.
when Keith does this, he's pretty much showing some way in my mind, he picked it where nobody's there. Nobody. We're hating just ourselves because there's nobody there. So I really think that would be a good lesson too. But I have to say, Marcy was here last time and I just love her because she was so real. I had I had a lot of issues, Myrna, over the years. Like, oh my God, my story's like a story like everyone else's. The only thing is I thought I had the worst story. That's the narcissism of the ego, right? You always think, oh, I'm so ashamed.
But don't they say that if everybody threw their problems into the center of a room,
Yeah.
like our own problems, think about that really.
Yeah, I didn't have, but I didn't know. And when I got to Altoona and I saw all these people in the 12 steps, they had childhoods like mine, which were like crazy. And, even though my parents looked normal, they couldn't, none of us are normal. We all tend to do things because we're listening to a mind the 1 minute loves you and the next minute it hates you. So
Yeah, it's interesting, but everybody that I know that studies a course in miracles had a very tough beginning. Isn't that strange? when
I
you think
found that interesting. Yeah, because
everybody that I know, okay,
I
has
had
had.
from the beginning, my grandmother though was the one, my parents used to fight and I was a crier. So I remember I was about 8. My grandmother sat on the steps. Now she's only a reflection of my mind. So I hear her say to me, and I didn't tell anybody. I only told my girlfriend when I met her at 25. She said, "Shh, this is a dream." And I remembered it because that was true. But I never told my mother or anybody. I told my friend Rosalie, and she said, "You remember that?" And I said, so the course was like a book that was way before I got into, that's why I devour like all like Lynn and I tomorrow do, never forget to laugh because I just love what they did for us, the two of them. Of course, Source used them, but it's still beautiful. I just
Oh.
want to say I'm grateful for this group.
Yeah, me too.
It's a
Yeah.
good group of
Mm.
people that just see, this is what I feel. Sometimes people in the ego get spiritual snobbery. And I tend to be the opposite. Oh, I'm not getting it, blah, blah, blah. And there's some that are like, oh, well, you're not there. You know how many times I heard that in Awakening Together? You're not there. Well, that's what the book says, but you know what I mean.
It's not up to you to tell me.
What?
It's not up to you to tell me where I'm at. You don't know. So
Right,
don't
because
be
she's
telling
saying
me I'm
her
not-
own mind, her own thoughts. I can't even say because none of it matters. But I don't find in this group, it's all like real people that are on a path that are just accepting their vulnerability so they can be invulnerable.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. That's beautiful. I love that. Accepting your vulnerability so we can be invulnerable. I love that, Sharon.
The course was hard for the emotional person I am. So I would, always want to be just this loving, oh, I can handle it. But that was my whole childhood. My mother would scream at me. I wouldn't talk back. I was too scared. But boy, when I hit 30, I was like phew, I became like my mother in a way, not with my kids, but with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
That was a horrible relationship. He was hiding money, Myrna, for 10 years before we got separated. So I ended up with zero, and this was millions of dollars. But I thought we had. But
Yeah.
the character that I played, I was tenacious. So he thought he was taking me, and I just ran with it and took him to court for 9 years. And my mother kept saying, "What are you doing with your life? You got to get on with it." And you know why? Because we're being lived as the dream figure. And the dream figures had to do what it had to do.
Right. I saw a sign on someone's desk. It said it's something about being your authentic self, that caught my attention. Just be, who is my authentic self? I want to be my authentic self.
Well, your authentic self
And-
is the one being. That's
Yeah.
what's authenticity. You're not form.
Yeah.
I don't think egos can be authentic because we're in duality.
Not being our authentic self would mean that we kind of try to people pleasers when we really don't want to be, going along with the crowd when we really don't want to. In other words, not to express ourselves in ways that we want to express ourselves.
That's
It
right.
gave me an understanding that this is really, really it's so much, there's so much release from all those, emotions that are not real when we can be our authentic self. And that caught my attention. I'd like to be more.
People pleasing was my addiction. I mean,
Yeah.
as a child, that's really
Yeah.
like, because it was safe to be a good girl, My
Mhm.
my older sister was always fighting, and I just didn't want to go down that path. But that's, she played her part, I played mine. And it's meaningless either way.
Yeah. By the way, I have to tell you, I'm so excited. My book is out. Yeah, it's out. It's called Love's Chosen Destiny. And the launch, actually, if you look on Amazon, just look at the description of it, the way it describes it. I could not have done a better job describing my book than the publisher did. So just go on Amazon and just check out the description of the book. I wrote the story the way I thought a love story should be written, and I really got into my authentic self by allowing it to come forth the way it did.
What's it
So,
called?
It's
Love-
called
Go ahead.
Love's Chosen Destiny, and the subtitle is Life Can Turn on a Dime. That's a subtitle, so that's a mystery behind it. Anyway.
Oh, it has
so,
a mystery too, because I'm
no,
going to
it's
go
not,
play
no,
in
it's a love
August and-
story. It's no mystery really, but I mean, in other words, life can turn on a dime.
Here it is. Oh my God. Now you haven't had anybody like read it yet, so they can't.
No, well, you can, it can't be ordered until July 2nd, but at least you can
Okay.
think about what the, or if you want to order it,
Yeah.
yeah, you can, order it now. It won't come till after July 2nd. But
That's awesome.
yeah,
How awesome. Liz Cronkite, she wrote a couple books, but she also started writing regular books, just books that you could just, like you just wrote, like a book like this. And, it's like a painting you're creating.
yeah.
Yeah,
This
it's
is my
awesome.
first stab at something like that, a book like that, really. And I loved creating it.
God, I'm going to love this
and-
book. I'm going to get it.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's a nice book. I really do. They describe it as a steamy love story.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's what we
Anyway.
need.
Mm,
Well,
yeah.
I love love stories and I still love dramas. I still watch shows with my husband because I enjoy it.
mhm.
I've always liked, like the cliffhanger, like sitting at your edge of the seat, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me, no, I like to know what's gonna happen, and I don't like to be surprised, and I don't like to be scared, and I don't
Oh,
like
Karen left.
I just want to see peaceful, everybody happy, and we're having a good time. That's why I'm not much of
Yeah.
watching movies, because there's always some drama, and I don't like drama anymore. I
yeah,
don't think I ever did.
Well,
It always
watching,
scared me.
if you don't see yourself, like if you're not self-referencing, it's just entertainment.
Yeah, yeah, that's true too. And I think because I'm like really empathic, it's like when I see people get in trouble in a movie, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I'm still, I'm worried for people. So
yeah.
TV shows and movies and such.
Audrey's here.
All right,
Yeah.
does that mean Wayne's coming in? We will see.
Oh, I love this. This is so wonderful.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead. Thank you, Myrna, for taking
Thank
Susan Michelle's
you.
place.
Yeah, Myrna, you're precious.
I loved it. Sharon, thank you, and Karen and Lynn, and I really love it.
It's just that it's hard to believe that you're
did.
82 or 83.
I'm going to be 83 in September.
Yeah, but something like that's in your genes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gorgeous. And I would vote for you for president. Okay, all right, I love you guys.
All right, guys, I'm going to listen.